So we're looking at shoes, Brad, and we've got a couple of pairs in front of us.
I wonder what they were.
Well, we're looking at different brands, different types, styles. There's obviously been a change from boas to laces and back again, or the other way around, depending on how you look at it. What's your preference?
Well, towards the end of my career, I stuck with laces. I was on the Giro Empires. I went with laces just purely for aesthetic reasons and just to be different, because no one else was using laces. They produced a lace-up shoe. It kind of rang bells with me in terms of the nostalgic look. I love the history of the sport, and just to be different and not have something that other people didn't have. And it kind of created a wave now. I think a lot of people use lace-up shoes now. It sort of brought that shoe into the limelight. It made Giro think about doing a cross version, so kind of half lace, half dial. But I really like them, and I still use lace-ups even into retirement now.
I personally like dials, and I think the ease of which you can adjust mid-ride and things is obviously a little bit harder with lace-ups.
Yeah, so obviously it started aesthetically for me, because I love the look of it, the retroness of it. But then as we got into kind of getting to the hour record on here, they banned overshoes. And funnily enough, the lace-up shoes came out fastest in the wind tunnel compared to having kind of dials and things on the side of shoes. So what started as an aesthetic sort of self-indulgent look actually had a performance game when we started doing something like the hour record. So
that's really interesting.
So it was actually kind of out of the blue really that I chose that shoe, because most shoes, for performance reasons, in terms of getting a comfort and a dial and being able to undo it in a race and tighten up if you're racing for 6-7 hours, you can't do that with a lace-up. That's the only downside. But I do like just a plain shoe, me personally, and it has to be white for me really. But that's just from a cleanliness point of view. I just like a white shoe.
I love a shiny shoe because they're just easy to clean and they don't scuff. Actually, it's quite a durable fabric, and it's easy to just keep them nice and polished. Because otherwise, after maybe a month of riding in the winter, you actually start to feel like you need a new pair of shoes, and £250.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of black shoes in the modern style.
Like you said as well, feet change size a lot in heat. So if it's really, really cold, or if it's really hot, and ventilation and things like the vents in the bottom, they can make a lot of difference. Equally, the ones in the front here, I remember David Miller drilling holes in his shoes for the Vuelta because they just weren't getting enough ventilation. That's something that can actually cause a lot of discomfort if you don't get right. So modern shoes do actually do very well now. As you can see, the vents all the way around these. Yeah,
and I think also what's changed now with these shoes is quite a lot of shoes you can get a wider fit shoe, because obviously everyone's got different shaped feet, and from riding stiff cycling shoes for a lot of time, a lot of people suffer from kind of bunions and things like that on the side of their feet, or growths that kind of evolved from having carbon shoes and stiff shoes.
15 years worth of not quite the right size
shoe.
And
I mean, the last few years at British Cycling, we had custom made carbon where they basically wrapped your foot and made a shoe, and some of the shoes that came out in the shape of people, so they look like freaks, and that's just kind of, you don't realise that people have different shaped feet and stuff, and I think so it is about finding the right shoe for you, and the right shoe, the comfort. Road racing is one of the few sports where you actually could be out there for 6, 7, 8 hours sometimes.